と出会った時、子供の頃大切に思ってた場所を思い出したんだ。僕と踊ってくれないか、光と影のワインディングロード、今でもあいつに夢中なの。少しだけ振り向きたくなるような時もあるけど、愛と勇気と誇りを持って戦うよ。だんだん心惹かれてくこの星の希望のかけら、きっと誰もが永遠を手に入れたい。全然気にしないふりしても、ほら君に恋してる。果てない闇から飛び出そう北条編。怒った顔も疲れてる。君も好きだけどあんなに飛ばして生きて大丈夫かなと思う。僕は何気ない仕草に振り回されてる精細でブルー。それでもあいつに夢中なの。もっと聞きたいことがあったのに、二人の会話が車の音に阻まれて鳥に舞うよ。だんだん心惹かれてく自分でも不思議なんだけど、何かあるとすぐに君に電話したくなる。全然気のないふりしても結局君のことだけ見てた。海の彼方へ飛び出そうよ。 Hold my hand。
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. I am here. I have not been to sleep since midnight 30 last night. So I've been just wired and awake. I don't even know why I'm so wired. Like I haven't been like mainlining caffeine or anything. For some reason my body's just not tired right now. So odds are, as soon as I start reading, I'm gonna fall asleep. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. As soon as I have to start reading, that will.
In the event that happens, did you want me to take over?
Sure, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just preparing.
So
time.
we're starting at we're 87% of the way through. I'm gonna try and see if we can get done with this tonight.
I
when
think
my eyes cracked open, is that where we're at?
Yeah. That's exactly where we are.
Is Mark here? Mark in the Funky Bunch.
Yes.
No, I'm Richie. This is Shem. We do slimy things.
Hmm.
We do voices and other stuff in our Slime Abridged. So there we go. All right, we got an ad break going on right now. Yay!
Hmm.
Art. It's over here clapping and just decided, oh, I'm a seal. I'm a seal. Art.
Or, or
Oh, how's your day going, buddy?
that's all right. How about yourself?
Hmm.
I said it's all right. How about yourself?
Oh man. It's been interesting. I now have all the ingredients for proper seasoning of some mac and cheese. So I'm gonna make more mac and cheese tomorrow, and then I'm gonna
Nice.
add smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and dried mustard.
Mm,
Yeah,
sounds good.
apparently all of it together is just like. Today, what I did was I had some garlic, like a small spoonful of sugar, and some smoked paprika, and that was just delicious. So
That
I'm
does sound
wondering
really
if I
good.
add the other seasonings that were recommended, um, how it would get. Okay, so here's the thing about grilled cheese, right?
Hmm.
I think that there are so many good ways to make grilled cheese, but my favorite will always be you. All right, so I put butter directly on the pan first, and then I
Hmm.
sprinkle in some garlic powder
Mm,
onto the butter, and then I lay my bread on there. So what ends up happening is I have a garlic bread grilled cheese sandwich.
mm,
Yeah, it's pretty damn good.
sounds nice.
Yeah, I got introduced to that by some idiot, and it turned out to be the only intelligent thing they ever did. Pardon me. It turned out to be the only
Hmm.
intelligent thing they ever did. So,
Someone is here.
I have finally arrived.
Hmm.
hello.
Sorry about that. I was having
Welcome.
issues with groceries and the delivery. I tried to give them another chance, and
Oh,
of course,
no.
shit had to happen.
No, I was just
But
saying, I was like, I've gotten used to the fact that you're never going to be on time. So it's just like business as usual. There's always going to be
Well,
something
normally
that
it should have
happens.
been.
There's
Yeah,
always
it was
going to
just
be
the
something
worst
that
moment.
happens. And I'm just like, you know what?
Uh,
No, the universe just won't let you.
no, it
yeah.
really won't. It's annoying.
The universe just will
At
not
least
let
it
you be
wasn't
on
my
time.
fault.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get items refunded for what was not delivered. Spaghetti
Oh,
stuff mainly, but
Spaghetti.
they're calling
Yeah.
me in like 2 hours, so hopefully we're wrapped up by. Well, the latest would be like 8:30. Like now it's like a little after 6. So
Alright, I better get started before I get tired. Because now that I'm not gaming, suddenly my body is aware of how long it's been awake, and I'm like, no, no, no,
uh-huh.
no, no. You have to stay awake for this. So here's what you missed. I've been up since 12:30 in the morning yesterday, or today.
Mm,
Not yesterday. Today.
mm.
So, yeah, that's what you missed. That's
oh,
pretty
hold
much
on,
it.
let me check.
All right. And yeah, I'll be reading today, so let's just go ahead and get started. When my eyes cracked open, I found myself clinging to Zenoba. It should go without saying, but no homo. I only did this because I got totally smashed last night. That was some good alcohol we'd had. Honestly, I never got the point of drinking with a bunch of other men in my previous life, but it turned out that hanging with a bunch of guys I liked made the alcohol taste that much better. But my head is killing me. Since my head was pounding something fierce, I cast healing and detoxification magic on myself. The throbbing immediately receded. It was like taking a super strength aspirin that kicked in immediately, washing away both the pain and its source. I did the same for Zenobia and Cliff, even though they were still sleeping like a couple of logs. The former had his foot resting on Cliff's face, which was probably why Cliff seemed to be having such a bad time sleeping. Sorry, buddy, but healing and detoxification magic can't take away the source of the stench. While my magic did an excellent job of easing the pain of a hangover, it didn't help with the dehydration. I decided to get a drink of water before my headache returned, using earth magic to conjure a cup and then water magic to fill. I paused as I noticed something in the middle of the room. Whatever it was shaped like an arm, but numerous metal plates had been layered together, making it slightly larger and thicker than a normal arm, and unwieldy besides. What was this thing supposed to be again? I racked my brain trying to recall the happenings of the previous night. In fact, where the heck am I anyway? I scanned the room, but I didn't recognize my surroundings. I was pretty sure that I had been here before, and I could tell it was Cliff's room at least, but other than that, let's see. I think we drank a bunch at the restaurant. Yeah. We got on the topic of remaking my prosthetic hand. Cliff said he had the materials here to draw magic circles for it, so that's why we came here to his place. That was where my recollection ended. Everything after that was murky. Judging by the evidence, we'd guzzled alcohol while working on making this new version of the prosthetic. Huh. Fuzzy as my brain was on the details, I did remember bits and pieces about our attempts not going to plan at all. I reached down and picked up the prosthetic, or gauntlet, rather, and inspected it. The thing was heavy, probably weighing about 10 kilograms, which meant I'd made it with my earth magic. I had even left a perfect slot in the palm where a magic stone could be embedded. It struggled to fit it on my hand while holding it, so I set it down and slipped my hand in. It fit like a glove. "Earth, be thou my hand," I muttered. Mana started pooling in my arm, feeding into the gauntlet, and gradually it became lighter and lighter. My sense of touch was less sensitive when wearing it, but I could easily pick up whatever I wanted, giving me fond nostalgia for the time I spent with my prosthetic. There was no mistaking it. This was the Zayleaf prosthesis, or the Zayleaf gauntlet, rather, if we were going for a more accurate term. We actually finished it! Indeed, we had successfully created the Zayleaf gauntlet. Or I guess it would be Zalif, because Zanoba.
Zalif, yeah.
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 After that, the three of us groggily sat around and enjoyed the breakfast Linnaeus made. She had come home at some early hour this morning. We did it! Yeah! Let's be sure to inscribe a clean blueprint for it later. While we celebrated the completion of the gauntlet, we lacked the energy to show much enthusiasm. No amount of healing or detoxification magic could restore the hours of sleep lost to partying till the wee hours. Well, see ya. Yep, let's drink again sometime. Indeed, it was a pleasure. We bid our quiet, reserved goodbyes, promising to do this again. My feet dragged as I made my way home. It was already almost noon, and the sun beat down on me. The summer heat was inescapable. This also meant the snow was long gone, and soon enough the beast folk would enter mating season. Personally, I was eager to mate year-round, so the seasons didn't have much of an impact on me, but seeing how antsy everyone else was made me restless as well. Roxy's belly had begun to swell. I was looking forward to deciding on a name for our baby, but in just 2 weeks I would have to leave with Ariel for Osira Kingdom. I could instantly return home with teleportation magic, but we had no idea how many months we would be spending there. I hated the idea that I wouldn't be able to be there for the birth. After all, by the time Roxy went into labor, she would have spent over 9 months with uncomfortable pregnancy symptoms, all so she could give birth to my child. There was little I could do for her in return, but I needed to show how grateful I was through my actions, at least. Wonder if it'll be a boy or a girl. Since Lucy was a girl, I kind of wanted a boy this time, but honestly, it didn't matter either way. Come to think of it, Eris mentioned she wants to have a boy. Back in Japan, there were tips and tricks for determining the sex of your baby, but what were they again? Like, if you did a thing, and then it would be easier to have a boy, and if you did thing B, it would be easier to have a girl, or something like that. I recalled vinegar being used at some point, too. I wonder if you can change a baby's sex through magic in this world. Well, it didn't matter either way. We would lovingly raise our baby regardless of their sex. Eris would likely also wind up pregnant in no time. My concern with her was whether or not she would settle down and behave while pregnant. On top of that, she seemed to be in a rush to have a baby. In the middle of intimacy, she would pause numerous times and ask, "Can I get pregnant this way?" And, "Are you sure this is right?" Part of it was because she naturally had a high libido, but maybe part of it was that she felt a step behind the other girls since Sylphie had already had Lucy and Roxy was currently pregnant. In Asura Kingdom, there was a strong sense that one couldn't openly declare themselves a man's wife until they had their child. I had no idea what Eris thought about that, but if she wanted to have a baby quickly so she could feel more secure, I would oblige her. Finally, I saw my house in the distance. Since I hadn't told the girls I would be staying out for the night, I figured they would probably be upset with me. Not that our household was strict about that kind of stuff. Perhaps it would be wise to make a concrete rule regarding curfew and staying out. Kidnappings were a common problem in this world, and there was no telling what the man god might do. Lucy was growing up, so making a rule now would serve to protect her and our other future children. "I'm home," I declared as I walked in. "Oh, big brother, welcome home," Aisha said. I saw neither hair nor hide of the rest of my family. "Huh? Where is everyone? Did they all go out?" "They were up late into the night," Aisha explained. "They're still asleep." "What? They were partying it up? Without little old me? Does that mean I was left out of all the fun?" In other words, while I was out knocking back drinks with the boys, the girls had a celebration of their own. I could only hope that they hadn't spent the time bad-mouthing me. "Can you believe them? They were so cold to me," Aisha groused. "While I was sleeping, they got together to have drinks and chat." "Oh, so you weren't a part of the festivities?" "Nope. Leo and I slept together the whole night. Speaking of Leo, when I woke up this morning, I noticed the bed felt cold and wet. Leo apparently had an accident. I got onto him, and he looked all dejected. He may look like a big dog, but he's still just a little pup." Aisha sure seems to be enjoying her days here. "So, what did you do? Did you wash your bedding?" What did you do? Did you wash your bedding?" I asked. "Of course I did. Oh, and Miss Eris helped me out. She promised she wouldn't tell anyone since she used to wet the bed as well. I told her it wasn't me, but she wouldn't believe me, no matter what I said. Please tell her the truth. I swear, I have never once wet the bed since I was born." "I don't know. You sure about that?" I teased. Not you two." Oh, man. "You guys are cruel." We moved to the living room as we bantered. I wonder if Eris took part in this drinking party. It left me a little anxious, but it was good she seemed to be getting along with the other girls. "Oh, Rudius, welcome home." As I was lost in thought, okay. That I thought it was Sylphie for a moment. Let me change it. "Oh, Rudius, welcome home." As I was lost in thought, Eris came down the stairs. She was wearing light, flexible clothing and carrying a wooden sword, even though her real weapon still rested on her hips. "Good to be home," I said. Going out for training? Going out for training now?" "Yep. I have to train even harder." I had no idea what they had discussed during their party, but she seemed to be in high spirits, which reminds me, I have a favor to ask her. "Eris?" "What?" Perhaps it was thanks to the sun on the walk back, but my head was clearer than before, and my body felt lighter too. All I needed was another glass of water, and I'd be good to go. One big glass. And while I was in the mood, it was the perfect time to ask. "If you're going to do some training, how about having a mock battle with me? You know, like you and Regard used to do while we were traveling together. Haven't done that in a long time. For a moment, she stared vacantly at me, but she soon recovered and flashed a grin. Sounds good. I'll pound you into the ground like I used to. Oh, well, I'll try my best to keep up. Since this was a mock battle, I hoped she'd at least hold enough back not to kill me. This is going to be okay, right? Right? I mean, she is a sword king now, so she can hold herself back. Right? Well, I'm gonna head out to the garden first then, Eris declared before hurrying off. With that promise made, I left to change clothes. Eris had become quite the badass since I last saw her, and I couldn't let myself look too pathetic in front of her. Time to get my game face on. The two of us stood apart, facing one another. It's been a really long time since I sparred with you like this, said Eris. Sure has. How many years has it been since we traveled with Regard? About 5? If my approximation was correct. I won't lose to you anymore, Eris bellowed. Don't worry, I don't have any illusions about being able to win. I used to defeat her after I received my Eye of Foresight, but by the end of our journey, the advantage that gave me was negligible at best. The two of us had gone on to live different lives after we parted. Eris had spent all her time studying the sword, doing nothing but fighting. Having seen her face off with Orsted, I could already tell I didn't stand a chance of beating her. That said, you don't have much experience fighting a mage, do you? I asked. Nope. And I've never faced off with anyone skilled enough to use something like the Sword of Light. Mock battles like these will help us prepare to face off against opponents of a similar skill level. Eris huffed, grinning from ear to ear. What's with her? I didn't really compliment her that much. Did I say something funny? It really has been forever since we did this, too, she said. Yeah, I guess so. Eris wasn't just referring to the sparring. She was recalling when I was her tutor and used to logically analyze what we were doing as we trained. Well, with that out of the way, it's time to battle. Just like before when we were traveling. Yep, got it. She lifted her wooden sword, holding it high above her head, her favorite pose since childhood. However, things were different now. The moment she took that pose, the air around her settled. The tense, cocky aura about her disappeared in an instant. Panicked, I dropped into a fighting stance and gripped my staff, unleashing my Eye of Foresight. Whenever you're... Before I could get the word out, Eris' figure blurred. By the time I finished the sentence, a force struck my right shoulder. I dropped my staff before I could register what had happened and went sprawling. The next thing I knew, I was staring at the sky. There was a delay before the pain hit, shooting through my shoulder. I couldn't move my right arm at all, which made me suspect she'd shattered my shoulder blade. I managed to reach my left hand over and started chanting. Let this divine power be a satisfying nourishment, giving one who has lost their strength the strength to rise again. Healing! Slowly, the pain subsided. Eris appeared in my field of vision, still holding her sword above her head with a confused look on her face as if to say, What now? Can I strike you again? Hold it! Stop! I give! I thrust my hand out to stay her, and she finally lowered her weapon. I took a breath and lifted myself off the ground. Eris, was that the Sword of Light just now? Yep. Aha, so that's the secret technique of the sword god style I had seen it once before, and Orsted had even hit me with the technique. But seeing it once again reinforced how ungodly fast it was. I hadn't had time to blink, let alone react. So that's what it was, I mumbled. Amazing, I didn't see it coming. Right? I put everything I had into it. Eris nodded, pleased by my compliment. Guess I'll have to work hard and find a way to counter it. Eris huffed. It won't be that easy. Yeah, I don't expect I'll be able to do it today. Still, I couldn't look like a complete loser in front of her. I needed to make sure she could learn something from these mock battles. Well, To sum up the results of our battles, I lost miserably. Eris won 9 out of 10 of our matches. I frowned. I already knew Eris was strong. In fact, I'd already figured I would be no match for her before we started. The point of these mock battles was not for me to win, but to get stronger. Experiencing the best of the Sword God style was a valuable lesson in itself. Yet as much as I appreciated that, I couldn't help feeling utterly dejected after having the snot kicked out of me again and again. I really did try everything. Quagmire, Deep Mist, Earth Fortress, Vacuum Wave, and Sonic Boom. I even tried using wind and sand to obscure her vision. I thought getting cornered would be her weakness, and it certainly was, but her Sword of Light was so fast it could overcome that. Even if we managed to strike each other at the same time, I still lost. I thought electric would be enough to knock us both out of the fight, but Eris kept a firm grip on her sword even as it shot through her, and kept charging at me. She didn't like guts, for sure. Meanwhile, all it took was one hit and I was out of the game. The ridiculous gap between her stamina and mine made me worry whether she'd feel disillusioned after all this. I really am a loser, aren't I? I sighed. Why do you think that? I mean, look at you. You worked hard and became this powerful as a result. Well, this is all my efforts have amounted to. I feel like I can't look you in the eye, especially with how many hours of training you put in compared to me. The one time I managed to snatch a win was when I managed to stop her sword with my Zalif gauntlet. Eris was thrown off by the abnormal resistance she felt through my sleeve, which left her gaping in surprise. I couldn't blame her. She thought she would break my arm with her swing, only to be met with the steel that deflected her attack. The Zalif gauntlet had a sleeker design than its predecessor, though the two weighed about the same. Without thinking, Eris had blurted, "What? So you can make your arm hard too?" The sexual implications made her cheeks flush brightly. Alas, that was only one part of my body I could harden like that, and it generally remained flaccid until nighttime. In any case, I might have won, but it wasn't because of my strength. Luck had favored me, and the same tactic wouldn't work twice. If she'd used a real sword instead of a wooden one, there was a good chance that she would have lopped off my hand along with the gauntlet. As far as I was concerned, that win didn't count. My win rate then was 0%. Yep, just call me Big Loser Rudius. That's not true at all, Eris said. We're talking swordplay versus magic here. In melee combat, it's only natural you'd lose. Honestly, that was not the reaction I expected. In my mind, I had only imagined two scenarios. In one, she would sniff, puff out her chest, and say, "Of course, because I'm stronger," and then she would lose her temper and snap. "Rudius, you need to train harder." In the other one, she would sigh, be disgusted, and say, "You bore me." Her response was so different that I was left gawking. Seriously, did I just hear the word melee come out of Eris's mouth? We start within my preferred attack range, so you're at a disadvantage from the beginning. In fact, I'm the one who should be ashamed that you won even once, Eris said, all of that with a completely earnest look on her face. Am I hearing things? Is this really my Eris? I had to remind myself that she was a Sword King now. Of course she would be knowledgeable about combat. It would be odd if she wasn't. She had spoken this analytically when she had taught Norn swordsmanship too. I knew that, and yet I couldn't stop myself from asking. Eris, I have one question. What? Who, taught you all that? Was it the Sword King, a Sword Emperor? I suspect it was one of those two. I wasn't really asking because I wanted to know who specifically taught her. Maybe I just wanted to reassure myself by confirming that she hadn't come up with all of that on her own. If that's the case, I'm a hateful bastard. But I couldn't really help it. On the outside, it looked as though she hadn't changed at all, but so much about her was different, and it left me a little, gobsmacked. Auber was the one who taught me about melee, Eris declared. Ah, as I figured. Someone did teach her. but the name Albert gave me pause. I was pretty sure I'd heard it somewhere before. Wait, the North Emperor? North Emperor Albert? That's the one. From what I understand, you were the sword god's apprentice, but you're saying you also learned from the North Emperor? And a bit from the water god, too. Yeah, water god Rada, too, huh? Of course. It wasn't surprising that she would pick up on other swordplay styles in the Sword Sanctum. It was in the place's very name. Or maybe those warriors had happened to swing by and she had received unofficial lessons from them that way. Regardless, North Emperor Albert and Water God Rada were big names. Orsted mentioned there was a good chance we would be fighting those two in Asura, and lo and behold, they were the ones who taught Eris what she knew. I wondered if this was a trap. I wanted to believe it was a simple coincidence, but Eris, to tell you the truth, there's a good chance we might be facing those two when we go to Asura. Really? Yeah, they're on the enemy side. I thought that even Eris would find it difficult to face her former teachers. I tried to word it diplomatically, but she simply crossed her arms and grinned like she was ready to walk into battle. Yeah? That gets me itching to fight. She looked like she would gladly throw down with them right here and now. Apparently, she hadn't built the same kind of relationship with them as the one she had with Ghislaine. In fact, I wondered if she'd even made any friends in the Sword Sanctum. It worried me. Well, if you're raring to go, then I won't hold back when fighting them either. Of course! You better not hold anything back with them, she said. I stared at her. Because you think it would be disrespectful? Because they'll cut you in two in an instant. Her expression made it clear. Oh, because they'll cut you in two in an instant. Her expression made it clear she wasn't kidding. But don't worry. You have me to protect you. Right. Reassuring as that should have been, being told they'd cut me in two was honestly terrifying. I definitely didn't want to face them head on. Maybe we could lure them into a trap or rig things so the conditions favored us. I'd have to bank on that. Well, thank you for doing this mock battle with me regardless. No need to thank me. As your wife, it's my duty. Oh goodness, you're going to make me blush. Well then, as your husband, I'd better work hard so I can stand toe-to-toe with you, I said. You're fine as you are. You sure? Yeah. Everyone has their own role to play. In fact, if I know you have my back in battle, it'll put me at ease. Huh. 5 years ago, Eris would have never said something like that. The skills she had picked up during the time she spent training were certainly the most notable thing, but she had matured mentally as well. I am really going to have to work hard so she doesn't feel disillusioned by me. I continued sparring with Eris as I made preparations for a departure. That included making improvements to my magic armor, working on a way to combat Orsted's curse, as well as packing for the trip. I did all of this while trying to spend more time with Roxy. Of course, I wasn't with her all the time. I had several meetings with Orsted where we discussed what abilities North Emperor Albert and Water God Rada might use, as well as how to counter them. We also worked out how to contact the band of thieves Triss was involved with. Just to be on the safe side, I brushed up on my geographical knowledge of Asura's capital, Ars, as well as the layout of the Silver Palace where the royals resided. I also introduced Cliff and Orsted so the former could begin studying Orsted's curse. I was pulling out all the stops to do whatever I could, all while trying to set aside extra time to spend with Roxy. I wasn't stalking her, to be clear. Yeah, maybe I loitered in front of her door sometimes and snuck into her peripheral vision to get her attention, but most of the time I was pretty direct in asking for her time. Perhaps because she was pregnant, she was more willing than usual to accept my company. Not that she had ever refused it before, of course, but she was making a more concerted effort to approach me. It warmed my heart. She had always been a little aloof with me. If I was sitting on the couch, she would opt for one of the armchairs or take a seat directly across from me rather than settle in beside me. That had changed as of late. She would either cozy up beside me or plop herself in my lap. You believe that? In my lap. This was the same Roxy that hated being treated like a kid, but she was willing to perch herself on my legs if that wasn't enough. Her cheeks would light up as if she was embarrassed to be doing it. No doubt it took more courage to do this than simply take a seat by my side. That was why I made sure to offer prayers of gratitude to my altar every night. My goddess, thank you for letting me have such a happy life. One evening, Roxy and I found ourselves sitting on the living room couch side by side. We would often sit together and chat like this as the day drew to a close. We never ran out of things to talk about. Roxy would discuss how things were at school or news about the latest magical implements. Sometimes we would talk about our adventures following the displacement incident. None of the subjects were terribly important, but chatting with her always put me at ease. Hearing her voice alone was enough to make me happy. Roxy's words always carried deep nuance, filled with wisdom and enlightenment. I never spent a dull minute with her. You're being too insecure, said Roxy. While a mage should keep their distance while attacking, if they get too far away, that means a greater delay before their attack hits. But when I'm fighting someone with a sword, shouldn't I put some distance between myself and them? The subject of today's discussion was my match with Eris. Most people would judge me, saying it was wrong to bring up pardon me, another woman when I was spending time with Roxy. But it was actually Roxy who broached the subject. She had watched our match, watched me getting my butt handed to me. Roxy agreed. True, if you're a magician facing a swordsman, the more distance you can get, the better position you'll be in. Your spell's impact may be delayed, but at least your opponent's attacks won't hit you either. See? Like I was saying. However, that all changes the moment you enter your opponent's attack range. My shoulders slumped. Really? Once you're within their reach, they have the complete upper hand. After all, they're fast. Trying to put distance between yourself and them at that point is futile. You won't be able to move enough to get out of their range. They're going to come straight for you if you try that. And their attacks are like a cone-shaped wave that moves outward, meaning you're more likely to get hit by it the further you move away. Yeah, I figured. I had experienced the numerous times in my practice battles against Eris. She usually charged at me as she attacked, but she also often kept me barely within range. From that position, she could counter any magic I tried to sling at her. And if I tried to fall back, she would chase me down. I had lost almost 30 times before realizing what she was doing. Allow me to quiz you. When you're up against an opponent whose area of attack is in front of them, where is the most advantageous position on the field? Behind the enemy, I guess. Roxy nodded. Precisely. They're going to lunge forward with their attack, so their center of balance is going to be tilted forward. Even if they try to defend their rear with an attack, its power will be severely reduced. If you can withstand that, you'll have a chance to counter them. Thus, the key is to slip out of their attack range and flank them. Makes sense. So it was better to charge forward instead of falling back. The most dangerous move was actually the best path to survival. Roxy's brilliance didn't surprise me. She wasn't my teacher for nothing. As an adventurer, she had probably seen her fair share of such situations. She'd probably taken down a number of powerful demon-like beasts at close range. Calling her a god was no exaggeration. My eyes sparkled as I stared at my wife, and she awkwardly averted her gaze. Well, I'm sure it will be difficult with Eris as your opponent. I certainly couldn't do it. So please don't ask me to demonstrate for you. No, I'm certain that if anyone could do it, you could, I gushed. No, I really couldn't. So stop looking at me like you think I'm some kind of invincible superhuman. Not looking at you like that. My eyes are just sparkling because you're a goddess.
Regardless, I finally had my answer. I shouldn't try to escape my opponent by falling back every time. I needed to charge forward at least occasionally, get the drop on my opponent, and halt their movements with a counter of my own. That would force them to second guess themselves, to make them doubt their usual method of charging in for the kill and give me the advantage instead. If I could make them think it was a risk to get to close too much distance between us, that would actually make it so I could fall back and gain the upper hand. Granted, it wouldn't be that simple with Eris. I would just have to keep losing to her while cautiously testing my options. Ahem. Roxy cleared her throat, interrupting my thoughts. Well, Rudy, since your departure is fast approaching, I think it's about time you decided on a name for the baby. Isn't thinking up a baby's name before going off on an adventure kind of an ill omen? I said. That's a superstition born of a human hero story, right? It has nothing to do with the Meagard tribe. She rejected that outright, but an ill omen was still an ill omen. Still, if my goddess said it was nothing to worry about, then there was no need to buy into superstition. I would do as my goddess bid me. In our village, it's the tribe leader's job to pick a name, said Roxy. And you're the leader of our household, right? So hurry up and make your decision. Are you sure you want me to make that choice all on my own? Of course. While you're gone, I'll be lovingly stroking my belly and calling our baby by whatever name you give it. That will bring me some happiness in your absence. As she spoke, she caressed her stomach. I cupped my hand over hers and followed her motions. It was strange, thinking how this girl I had known for over a decade now held my baby within her. I had experienced this same puzzling sensation before with Sylvie, and now I was again with Roxy. Happiness swelled in the depths of my chest. It was such a pleasant feeling, one I wanted to enjoy again and again. I snickered. What is it, Rudy? That laugh sounds just like Sylphie. Just like Sylphie, huh? Nothing really. Thinking about how much I like your tummy. I'm not as slender as Sylphie, nor as fit and muscular as Eris, but if you still like my body, then you're welcome to touch it as much as you want. Really? I asked, although I'd already been doing just that for the past few minutes. Half of the baby inside me belongs to you, after all. What about you? How much of you belongs to me? Roxy paused before saying, everything, at least on the outside. But I can't claim the baby inside, too? She shook her head. Half the baby belongs to me. I won't budge on that. Makes sense. I knew she was wise. That's right. A child belongs to both of its parents, and Roxy belongs to me. Let's see. What should we do about the name? I mumbled. Well, a Megurdian name would be something like Lola? The Meagard sure did seem to like names that started with Ro or Lo, but since our child was only half Megurdian, there was no reason we had to stick with the tradition. I think it would be best if we took something from our names, Rudius and Roxy, and combined them, I said. That's a good idea. Then Rodius or Luxy? I don't think our names pair up very well. Nonsense, I insisted. We are a perfect match for one another. We couldn't simply slap our names together like that, though. Maybe we could change a vowel. Start the name off with, say, Ray or Lay instead. Ray. Oh, crap. That sounded just like old man Ray from Tensei Bakabon. I could imagine our child humming Ray to themselves as they swept the floor with their bamboo broom. There was nothing wrong with wanting things clean, but that was definitely not what we needed right now. I like the sound of the name that Roxy recommended a moment ago, Lola. It made me picture a young woman who is anxious to experience the feverish passion of love. But that wouldn't work either. I wanted something more Roxy-like. Something that sounded wise and yet endearing at the same time. I loved the way she turned when I called her name, and how she peered up at me, wearing a perfect poker face as she asked, "Yes, what do you need?" And that was exactly the kind of name I wanted for our child. La li lu de do. Which of them would be the best fitting for her baby? I got it! If it's a boy, we'll call him Loro. And if it's a girl, we'll call her Lara. How's that? I proposed. A fine idea. Loro and Lara. Okay, Loro is... Boy, oh boy, let's be happy they're not born in this world, because children are mean. I like the sound of those names. Of course you do. I practically ripped those names straight out of an adventure of Lolo, after all, with some slight alteration. Doesn't that make you happy, Laurel? Or Lara? Your father was kind enough to decide on a name for you. Despite having the appearance of a middle schooler, the expression Roxy wore as she cooed at her stomach was that of the Holy Mother. Divine! She's utterly divine! Which means our baby will be a goddess's child! Rudy? Roxy said, interrupting my thoughts. Yes? I know I acted like I wasn't worried at all a few days ago, but I expect you to come home safe and sound, okay? I want both of us to be able to hold this child together. Yes, ma'am. She didn't have to tell me twice. Those indulgent days passed by quickly, and soon enough we had to depart for the kingdom. There were 8 of us in the party. Ariel's group consisted of Luke, Sylphie, Elamoy, and Clean. Then there was Eris, Ghislaine, and me. We had a single carriage, which required 2 of our 5 horses to pull it. Ariel's trappings were rather modest for the second princess of a country as great as Asura. Or Asura. Is it Asura or Asura? How do you guys pronounce it? Hello? Hello? Did everybody vanish? Did the 2 of you just...
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, there you go. Do you pronounce it Asura or Asura? Which one do you guys say?
Asura.
Okay.
Like, Asura's wrath.
Mm-hmm. Okay. To the outside world, it would look like we were gearing up to sneak into the country. In reality, we planned to access a forbidden teleportation circle to transport ourselves in. Despite the secretive nature of our mission, there was a whole crowd at the entrance of the city waiting to see us off. This group included the vice principal, officers of the student council, the general manager of the Magicians Guild, the leader of the Magical Implement Workshop, and a handful of other heads of organizations, along with representatives for nobility and royalty from the 3 magic nations. They all swooped in one after another to bid Ariel farewell. These guys don't understand the definition of covert, do they? Just because you're not throwing a party doesn't mean it's okay to gather en masse. Well, regardless, their presence here was proof that Ariel's efforts to make connections in Renoa had borne fruit. Perhaps a day would come when I would need to make use of those connections myself. Orsted was insanely powerful, but he didn't have very good relations with others. I was on my own on that front. I decided to mingle with the others and pay my respects to them. And thus, we set off for the Asura kingdom.
Asura. All
right. I hate this. Erg.
You're almost done, though.
Yeah. Shem, I'm going to have you take over because my nose is going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We're almost done, so I'll try and...
I did do a good amount of reading.
Yeah, it was a lot, so...
Mm-hmm. Okay. Looks like there's only 14 pages left in the book, so that means there's not... I'm going to say there's a couple of pages that aren't reading, so probably somewhere around 10 or 12 pages left.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll clean up regardless, so...
All right.
We'll be good.
Yeah. Oh man, that was less than an
Mm.
hour. Oh,
Yeah, it was. You burned through that quickly.
holy
So
cow! I was
yeah,
taking my time too. All right,
yeah,
cool. All right,
yeah.
take it over.
Good work. Okay. Extra chapter: The Black Wolf Sword King. Gillian Didoldia's mornings began before the sun came up. She would change into the day's clothes, chug a glass of water, do some basic stretches, then leave the inn where she was staying. She'd spend the next hour walking around the city. It was quiet in the early mornings, but that didn't mean no one was up and about. People clustered around large company buildings in front of the Adventurers Guild and at the city entrance, where they sleepily bustled about. Ghislaine approached the city entrance as a team of adventurers were returning from a mission. They were a large group numbering over 20, over 20, most likely a famous clan. Behind them, a brawny horse pulled a large wagon housing an enormous bovine creature. This beast was a likely sudden mutation that appeared on the outskirts of the city, and this famous clan had accepted the quest to take care of it. Their faces were heavy with exhaustion, which suggested the mission had taken them days to complete. Elaine watched them for a while, then finally lost interest and turned to leave. After her walk, she returned to the inn, where she practiced with her sword in the courtyard. It was a simple exercise. All she did was swing her weapon over and over. She had done the same monotonous routine daily without fail for over a decade. Sword god Galfalion had ordered her to do this ages ago. She did it while she was at Sword Sanctum. She did it when she became an adventurer. She did it even after Eris and Soros took her in and she became a bodyguard and instructor in swordplay. She did it when she was teleported to the conflict zone during the displacement incident, as well as when she made it to the refugee camp in the Vitoa region where she helped Alphonse out. She continued doing it even after she reunited with Eris and returned to the Sword Sanctum. Even now, as Ariel's bodyguard, she never skipped a session. This training gave her a sense of her physical condition and mental state each day. Lately, her mind had been at peace. She had two objectives to fulfill: protect Eris and avenge Soros. Now, one of them was complete. She had safely delivered Eris back to Rudius. That mission was over. Only one thing was left. Just one. Jane liked that. Having one goal was straightforward. It was easy to understand, and she didn't have to strain herself over it. Even better, her path was already laid out before her. Rudius had introduced her to Ariel, who understood what Ghislaine wanted to accomplish, and she had promised to let Ghislaine do just that. Finally, everything was simple. All she had to do when the time came was charge forth and cut her enemy down. This simplicity was why she felt so relaxed lately. That night, Ghislaine visited one of the Sharia's many pubs. Clamor filled the air, yet it was conspicuously quiet in her immediate vicinity. Despite being past her prime, Ghislaine was still a beauty, a beast woman with tan skin and impressive musculature, and yet no one tried to approach her. The dangerous aura she exuded reminded the people of the Berserker Sword King, who was the subject of endless rumors. The Berserker Sword King, a person who swung their fists indiscriminately and cut people down, a person who lacked all reason and never thought twice before unleashing their fury. Just meeting their gaze could provoke them into a fight, and they were an amazing sword fighter on top of all that. The mysteries surrounding them only stoked more fear, which was why everyone gave Ghislaine a wide berth. In truth, though Ghislaine was the teacher of this rumored Berserker Sword King, she was not the woman herself. She sat in a seat by the counter, keeping to herself, quieter than any of the other customers as she nursed her drink. It made her even more intimidating, adding weight to the rumors. Of course, Ghislaine wasn't intentionally trying to be menacing. She was only waiting for her food to come. Ghislaine knew that this place had procured the meat of the beasts those adventurers brought in this morning, which meant they would be serving up thick slices of juicy steak. That was why her gaze was glued to the kitchen, from which the scent of sizzling meat wafted out to tease her. She waited eagerly, salivating at the thought. The door suddenly swung open and a chime sounded to announce the arrival of a new guest. An elf with gorgeous hair, a beautiful face, and generous breasts strolled in. Her stomach, however, was so swollen, it looked bizarre on her otherwise slender figure, a clear sign she was pregnant. As soon as other people in the pub started or spotted her, their faces lit up and they eagerly called out to her. Hey, it's been a while. Not looking for any male partners anymore? Come to think of it, you just got hitch, ain't ya? Come grab a seat. Let's knock back some drinks together. The elf woman masterfully rebuffed their invitations, instead heading deeper into the pub, straight for the innermost seat along the counter. There she took up a spot beside the one person everyone else had been avoiding like the plague. They all watched her and gulped nervously. Hey, Ghislaine. Sorry to keep you waiting, Alina Lee said in a sing-song voice as she turned to the beast woman. You're late, Ghislaine grunted. Well, I can't help that. After all, I'm Wait. Ghislaine's sharp voice rang out, cutting Alina Lee's off mid-sentence. Shocked, Alina Lee's froze. The proprietor appeared from the kitchen carrying an enormous wooden plate. He headed straight over to them and slammed the meal down in front of Ghislaine. This what you wanted? There was an iron plate over the wood. On top of it sat a sizzling steak with steam rising off of it. It came with a side of grilled potatoes and a sort of vegetables that only further taunted her growling belly. Yep, Ghislaine added, Ghislaine nodded, too preoccupied staring at the meat to spare the man a single glance. Then take your time and enjoy the meal. Oh, I'd like some water and snacks myself, Alina Lee said, calling after him. Sure thing, the proprietor hollered over his shoulder. Alina Lee sank into her seat. I'm completely exhausted. I've been through pregnancy countless times before, but it never gets any easier. Uh-huh. But I wonder why it is. I haven't grown to dislike it after going through it so many times. Uh-huh. Speaking of which, your mating season should be soon, right? Isn't it about time you found yourself a partner? If you'd like, I'd be happy to pair you up with someone. Uh-huh. Ghislaine never so much as glanced at Alina Lise. She simply waited with her knife and fork in hand, staring at the slab of steaming meat. Drool dripped down her chin. There's no need to wait on my account. Go ahead and eat, said Alina Lise. You sure? Of course. It won't be any good if it gets cold. Meat is always good, even cold. Even as she said that, Ghislaine began devouring this thick steak. It was a little rare, but it was still cooked through, which was a perfect way to eat or to prepare a fresh piece of meat like this. Ghislaine sawed through it, stabbed into a chunk and tucked it into her mouth. It was slathered in tangy sauce, which eliminated the gaminess, giving a savory smell and flavor. It was rare enough to be a little tender, but that was just right for Ghislaine. She tore into it, letting its natural juices fill her mouth. This was heaven. Ghislaine continued cutting her meat and devouring it, letting her cheeks fill with juice as she chewed. When she swallowed, she was back to cutting another bite. She was silent the whole time, completely ignoring Alina Lisa's presence. Alina Lise didn't mind, resting her cheek against her hand and watching. Is it good? In that case. Or, sorry. Is it good? In that case, I was right to pick this place. Alina Lise was the one who'd clued Ghislaine in about the stakes here. Since they had the fortune of reuniting after such a long time, and Lena Lise decided to invite Ghislaine out for dinner for a chat. Naturally, she picked the exact type of pub that Ghislaine loved. Here you go, announced the proprietor as he arrived with Elena Lisa's order. Ghislaine had already inhaled half of her steak by that point. Uh, how unusual for you, she commented, not going to drink. Now that her stomach was no longer completely empty, she noticed that Elena Lisa had only ordered water. Yes, alcohol would be the better fit for our happy reunion and the depressing conversation we're about to have, but alas, I can't partake, Elena Lee said, lightly tapping her swollen stomach. Okay then. Ghislaine didn't bother trying to pressure her. Recently, I actually tried to have some alcohol myself, but Sophie stopped me, treating me like a child, telling me it was a no-no. Elena Lee wore a vacant expression as she caressed her stomach. Ghislaine frowned. Heard you got married, but I never figured you'd be this devoted to one guy. It's a surprise for me too, but Cliff is a wonderful man. Sure, he's not very flexible and doesn't listen, but he's self-confident and has a strong sense of responsibility. When we have sex, he goes all out. He doesn't simply focus on his own pleasure, he tries his best to make sure I feel good as well. It's so utterly adorable. Oh, Ghislaine, you should try to find someone for yourself soon too. I'll pass. Ghislaine brushed off the romance talk without a second thought. She had already given up on living as a woman, choosing instead to focus on her life or on focus on leading her life as a sword fighter. Well, I won't force you. More importantly, Elena Elise paused, lifting her glass and raising it toward Ghislaine. Ghislaine put her knife down and took up her flagon. To a fond reunion between friends, said Elena Elise. Yeah. Cheers. They clinked their cups, a pleasantly resonant sound. The two former members of the Black Wolf Fangs had finally come together again. It would have been better if Tall Hand and Geese were here to join us, Elena Elise murmured. Paul and Zenith, too. In an instant, what was supposed to be a joyous meeting turned gloomy, but that was exactly why Elena Elise had come here, to have that conversation. About Paul, it's a shame what happened. In a better world, I would have been the first to go, or first one to go. Not him. He lived fast and reckless, said Ghislaine. I figured he'd meet his end sooner rather than later. Yeah, I seem to remember you saying something like that a long time ago. Ghislaine shook her head. You're the one who said it. Oh, really? Yup. But the fact he's gone isn't that surprising to me. Paul went out with a bang, though, said Elena Elise. Care to hear the story? Yeah. Tell me. Elena Elise recounted the story as Ghislaine requested. She started by explaining how Paul got separated from his family and searched desperately for them. How, despite his womanizing ways, he turned temptations away and insisted on remaining loyal to Zenith. She also shared how his reunion with Rudius went in Begarit, how the two had talked, and how happy Paul had looked. Finally, she recalled the details of their battle and how Paul died protecting Rudius. Huh, Ghislaine grunted. He sure changed. Hard to believe that's the same man who always did stupid crap with you. Oh, I seem to remember you being the biggest idiot of all, Ghislaine. As I recall, you would wag your tail every time you looked at Paul for a while there. I was delusional. Must have been mating season. Besides, I'm not an Aldoldia. My tail doesn't wag whenever I'm happy. It was a figure of speech, Elena Lee reassured her. Hmm. But you really were adorable back then, always fussing over Paul at every turn. That was a long time ago. Forget about it. Elena Lee sniggered, popping a sweetly seasoned bite of meat in her mouth. It wasn't as tender as Galen's steak, so she had to chew a bit before swallowing. As Galen watched, she decided to order the same thing. Here, you can have this. Let's order something else instead and split it between us, Elena Lee said, passing her plate over to her friend. The two feasted, letting the sound of munching fill the air between them for a while. Zena's condition was a bigger shock to me than Paul's death, said Elena Lees. Once the plate was empty, Ghislaine responded, Yeah, never would have dreamed I'd see her in that state. Indeed. Ghislaine didn't respond. That's just how it goes, I guess. We are adventurers. The fact that she's even alive should be cause for celebration. Besides, Rudius is looking for a way to heal her. Who knows? Maybe she will return to her normal self eventually. Yeah? Well, she may be an old woman by the time that day comes. Elaine chuckled and drained her flagon. When that happens, hopefully we can drink together again. I hope so too. We'll have to call in Geese and Tallhan when that day comes and have a huge party. What are those two up to anyway? Well, after Talhand and I split up, the two continued catching up, chatting about various topics. Elena Lees talked about what happened after they split from the group, what they did following the displacement incident, how she met Rudius. They even revisited their past adventures, such as the time they went diving into some old ruins trying to find a legendary holy sword. Then there was the time that Geese gambled all their money away and they had to shake down some random people for funds. Another time, when Ghislaine entered their mating season, Paul jumped in to take advantage of the situation and Elise joined him, turning into a sensual threesome. Most of their memories together were embarrassing, but they were precious, embedded deep within the two women's hearts. Elena Elise's eyes were half crinkled shut as she jabbered away. Ghislaine had guzzled so much alcohol that she was totally smashed, her face vacant as she rested her chin on her hand. Oh dear, Elena Elise said. I rarely see you drink yourself into oblivion like this. Can you get back to your room on your own? I'm fine. There are no wolves who would bother coming after me anymore. Ghislaine shot a look over her shoulder. Even the more rugged adventurers were quick to avert their eyes. Maybe I should have taken up Lord Philip on his offer after all. Philip? Or Philip? Oh, you mean the one from the Fitoa region? Yeah. He asked me to become his mistress once. Oh dear, oh dear. You missed a prime opportunity there. You could have been set for life if you agreed to that, Aline Elise teased. Ghislaine smiled sadly. Couldn't have faced Eris if I had agreed. I'm shocked to hear you worry about such a thing, Aline Elise tilted her head. Oh. Ghislaine's eyes were fixed on the wall, burning with fury. Lord Philip is already dead. He didn't survive the displacement incident. I gave him a proper burial and claimed the heads of the ones who killed him. Oh, my. I didn't realize. That is a shame. Lady Eris is married to Rudius now. Elaine lifted her head, a murderous glint in her eyes. She stared up at the ceiling. All that's left is to avenge Lord Soros. She exuded such a menacing aura that several of the patrons decided to flee, sensing danger. Elena Elise wasn't shaken by it. She knew Ghislaine was capable of turning vicious on the fly and cutting someone down, but she also knew that she wouldn't be the beast woman's target. So that's why you became Her Highness's bodyguard, Elena Elise surmised. Yup. Elena Elise sighed and followed Elaine's gaze at the ceiling. You sure have changed. You didn't used to be such a fiercely loyal knight. Elaine froze and dropped her gaze to her glass, catching her own reflection in the amber liquid within. The answer came to her at once. I'm a member of the Doldia tribe. That's why. She abruptly stood, her gait so confident that it was hard to believe she was sloshed. Where are you going? Elena Elise called after her. Home. Oh dear, you're as hasty as ever. Elena Elise shrugged and lifted herself from her seat. She pulled out a silver coin from her pocket and slapped it on the counter. Then she hurried after her friend, who had already left the building and was disappearing down the dark street. Ghislaine! Ghislaine paused, ears twitching as she looked over her shoulder. While you're in Asura Kingdom, be sure to protect Rudius and Sylphie. Those two are my adorable grandchildren, you know. Yeah, will do. Ghislaine's tail perked up as she answered. With that, Elena Elise turned the opposite direction, back to her humble home where Cliff waited. Ghislaine stared after her. She grunted. Her list of things to do had suddenly increased. On the other hand, it wasn't something she had to do. Protecting those two was something she planned to do anyway. Gotten wiser, she realized, pleased with herself. She was in high spirits as she headed back to her inn. About the author, besides the geek for prefecture, loves fighting games and cream puffs. Inspired by a polished work on this website lets me novelists create the web novel Mushoku Tensei. They instantly gained the support of readers and became #1 on the site's high popularity rankings in the first year of publishing. There are people out there who care more than you realize, said the author. Thank you for reading. Get the latest news about your favorite 7 book and brand new licenses delivered to your inbox every week. Sign up for our newsletter. Visit gonmanga.com/newsletter. All right, we finished. Yay.
Yay!
I actually burned through that whole thing.
That was really fast. That was way faster than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that wasn't even 10 minutes. What the hell?
I don't know. And I felt like I was taking my time too.
Yeah, right? Like, it was less than an hour to get through that chapter. That chapter!
Granted,
Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
that last chapter was so long.
Yeah. I mean, granted, this chapter was just mostly dialogue.
Yeah.
So, and Ghislaine goes, yeah, or, or, which is like, yeah, I can appreciate that.
Ghislaine is a lady of few words, indeed.
I
Yes.
mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, we do definitely appreciate that.
I think
Well,
she's
guys,
cool. She's so
that means we will see you guys next week for more A Man's Man, more manhwa reading. And because we ended so early, we have more options for rating.
Yippee.
Raid?
Raid here, raid.
Yeah. Good.
But
Not Shadow Legend. No one's talked about that.
not Shadow Legends. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
God, I forgot how long it's been.
Oh man, Casmut, Vaughn. Let's see. Miss Blob is playing Phasmo. Hey, Sweet is online playing Pow World. I'm a supporter of that. Yeah. See,
Nice.
Cha-Cha is on.
Real smooth.
Last couple of streams before Offcut. Ama is on. That's funny. You know what? I think we will. First time Dishonored DLC. Oh, poor. Joel is playing Dishonored. Nice. Also, guys. For those of you that do remember, there is a thing happening tomorrow that is specifically for the cast and crew stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Specifically for our backers for a Kickstarter. We're doing a thing for our backers tomorrow.
Oh,
But yeah,
yippee.
we're gonna
Cool.
we'll raid Sweet.
I'm trying to remember which one.
What? It's the
I'm
announcement.
trying to
that I
remember
made.
which one.
It's the announcement.
Oh, right.
All right, so we're gonna go raid Sweet, guys. Show her love. She is playing the better Pokemon game, so yeah. Which is funny it's funny to say. They're like, oh, it's Pokemon with guns. I was like, dude, it's more like Ark with like Pokemon. Like that's kind of what it is.
I mean, yeah.
It's got more in common with Ark than it does with actual Pokemon. I'm just saying. But that being said, yeah, go show her some love. Hang out, all that fun stuff. Also, guys, if things are kind of slow this weekend, we're gonna do our best, but several of our friends and everything are headed off to AkaiCon or Off-Kai. It's the Kai in the name is throwing me off. So yeah, they're headed off to Off-Kai. So may be kind of light on Sunday for Anime Church. Also, sorry. My body has been horrible as far as choosing my sleep schedule. So I was not awake to do Anime Church yesterday. So we will try our best. I will see if I can get some people on to just talk nerdy news with me, if at all possible. But yeah, that's it. Gang, we will see you all later. I'm gonna lay down and take a much needed rest. I had to reset my sleep schedule, and in order to do that, I had to stay up for almost 20 hours. So
That's understandable.
yeah. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye bye.
Hello.
Bye.
Thanks for coming to the stream.